Welcome Outriders to another update from Looter Universe. I am your host, Ogaz, and with the news in the past 24 hours that Outriders is indeed dropping on Microsoft's Game Pass platform, I wanted to explore the business realities behind this decision, its impacts on the player base, and consider what choices some of you will be making on April 1st. Now, like a lot of you, with the rumors circling earlier this week, I was fairly confident that this announcement was coming and was well prepared to hold my PC version pre-order until we heard from Microsoft or Square Enix. And that day has come, but with some caveats. The biggest one for me being that the game will not be dropping for Game Pass Ultimate for PC. It will only, of course, be dropping for Game Pass for the Xbox console specifically. Cry me a river, I hear you say, and yes, I agree, woeful me, first world problems. This is a minor inconvenience to my plan, of course. I am confident knowing that buying it from direct PC avenues, I'll be contributing to People Can Fly's revenue anyway, so I kind of have that at heart. But it's something I think with efforts to date, they are deserving of. I'll talk about that shortly. So let's quickly take a look firstly at what is actually involved with this update. There's a lot of misinformation going out about what is and isn't involved with this Game Pass deal, and more importantly explore what it's going to mean for us as players from April 1st. Firstly, this deal is Xbox Game Pass only. So as I said earlier, this is not for PC players. Even if you have the Ultimate PC subscription and you pay handsomely, relatively for it, you are not getting access to this game on your platform. You will need to buy it on the usual avenues, Epic, Steam, etc. Second, the Hell's Rangers pre-order, which is actually pretty hot, and I have considered it, very closely considered it, but I have held off on the pre-order because pre-orders are kind of gross, but I don't know. This dev, as you guys know, People Can Fly have been doing a lot of things right. I've been talking about this in a lot of videos now, and they're definitely tempting me. This Hellrangers pre-order is not too shabby. You get some good stuff in here. You get some armor, you get some plates and customization elements for your vehicle, and yeah, it looks like it might be worth it for the fans. I'm not sure if it's a necessity, but at the very least, at least know that pre-order is going directly to the devs. So if you still want that pre-order kit, note, do not cancel your orders. You must still perform a pre-order. It does not matter if you buy it on Game Pass. You will not get this Hell's Rangers pre-order kit unless you maintain your pre-order. Thirdly, the progress will not transfer from other platforms. So we need to make that very clear. Your progress from PC or PlayStation will not transfer in the demo across to your full version on the Xbox Game Pass platform. So it's just a reminder, if you are going to go for the Game Pass option because you've already got the subscription, or you're going to go for the subscription, just be aware that your progress on other platforms will not carry over. Needless to say, that's not too bad. You've got 2 weeks, jump on the Xbox, download that demo, and get cracking. You might be able to do a little bit of farming, get some legendary weapons, and at the very least, at least get yourself a little bit in some space that you want to be for the final launch day on the 1st of April. Now, in consideration of all this, Microsoft's recent endeavors, $7.5 billion to buy Bethesda, it's fair to say that whilst Game Pass Outriders is a surprise for many, it fits the current persona that Xbox has taken on, this machine of consumption, if you will. In the community, I've read all sorts of responses to yesterday's actions. Some people are angry that PlayStation players don't get the same attention. Some people are asking why Xbox players get it for free, which by the way they don't, it's a subscription service. It's kind of like asking why do Netflix customers get movies for free? They don't, they're paying a subscription. Some people are concerned that their pre-orders are down and the sales have been low and the promise is low and the game's in trouble. And that's why this has been a solution. It's a desperate position, if you will, from People Can Fly, and others are genuinely excited about the prospect. I must say, I fall in the latter. I'm no Xbox fanboy. I like Xbox, but I'm not a fanboy, and I must admit, I see nothing but red roses here. In my view, this maneuver is not a move of desperation on the part of People Can Fly or Square Enix EU. In fact, I propose it's the opposite. Microsoft have seen the engagement, success, and positive feedback to the Outriders demo, a play of confidence, of tact, of communication, and patching, I should add as well, from a medium-sized team of developers published by a medium-sized publisher. A game which I must admit had been written off many months ago by many people. Phrases such as yet another live service microtransaction riddled generic looking looter shooter were the common phrases coming out of mouths prior to the demo release. And why do I say this? Well, if you flick back to Phil Spencer's public conversations at the end of 2020, you can clearly see an alignment between what's happened in the last 24 hours and the position of Outriders. Specifically, a couple of quotes here. Our deals are, I'll say, all over the place. That sounds unmanaged, but it's really based on the developer's need. One of the things that's been cool to see is a developer, usually a small to mid-sized developer, might be starting a game and say, hey, we're willing to put this on Game Pass on our launch day if you guys will give us X dollars now. Sounds very bloody familiar. He goes on to say, in certain cases, we'll pay for the full production cost of the game. Not in this case familiar. Then they get all the retail opportunity on top of Game Pass. They can sell it on PlayStation, Steam, Xbox, Switch, etc. Sometimes the developer's more done with the game and it's more just a transaction of, hey, we'll put this on Game Pass if you'll pay us this amount of money. Sounding familiar. We're open to experimenting with many different partners because we don't think we have it figured out. When we started, we had a model that was based on usage. Most of the partners said, yeah, we understand that, but we don't believe it, so just give us the money up front. Now, as corporately insane as that quote reads, I mean, if any of you are in business, having what seems to be almost a blank check for developers and this quasi we'll work it out as we go approach is indicative of the sheer flexibility that Phil has been granted by the Microsoft board to take this, service control of gaming. Now, is this a good thing overall for games? I think in the context of exclusivity, no way. This is absolutely not. In fact, I despise the idea. The Bethesda situation is just one example that makes me feel uneasy. Needless to say, Outriders clearly overcomes this conundrum because it offers crossplay, straight out of the gate. Now, if we compile all this information, it's pretty clear that People Can Fly and Square Enix EU are the perfect candidates for a last-minute Xbox game deal. I don't think this was planned. There may have been recent conversations, but I sincerely believe this is a very, very last-minute ditch effort on the part of Microsoft to take the bull by the horns, take an opportunity of a game that clearly has good mindshare right now, and get it first on the platform. And it's therefore no surprise I think that this happened, and why, when the rumors started a few weeks ago, we figured this would be a guarantee. But what does this mean for us as players at the end of the day? Well, as I said earlier, I think this is great. I think it is just bloody peachy. For me, this deal represents 4 good things. 1, an immediate increase in the active day 1 player base. There is no delayed take-up. It's just straight out of the gate on day 1. We will have more players playing Outriders on day 1 together. Number 2, this game is crossplay, which means we all win here. More players, more groups, more LFGing, more matchmaking, and more visibility across the social spaces. This is going to be a good thing for all of us. Number 3, People Can Fly and Square Enix, as mentioned already, will achieve an immediate additional revenue stream from this deal, something not to be scoffed at. Number 4, finally, the above points are excellent motivators combined for the developers to further support the game and indeed future content, even though this game has not been defined as a traditional live service. Could it evolve? Will it evolve? Or will we see a series of DLC and add-ons beyond the expeditions that the developers have already talked about? In the wake of all the recent live service games, I think the latter will be a better solution. Now, the only negative comment to all this is the sometimes inconsistent reality of matchmaking. The devs have commented that they are working on matchmaking and improving it across the demo, which, by the way, there is another update still to come for that demo in the coming days. That said, with a guaranteed increased player base on day 1 and this reliance on a peer-to-peer process, remember, this is no dedicated situation, there are no dedicated servers hosting this game, we don't yet know how this is going to work properly in the final build. I'm hopeful, but there is definitely work to be done here. We've seen inconsistencies with matchmaking. I've had difficulties with some parts of the crossplay process. One crossplay game worked perfectly fine. A good example of that, to give you an insight, is on our Discord server. We had 3 running together, one person in Hawaii, one person in Malta, and myself in Australia, all playing together, which was working quite well. There was subtle lag on some of the abilities that I noticed, but the action was fairly good, fairly consistent. Then 2 games later, we had troubles connecting all together. We had to constantly regenerate codes, we had to disconnect and restart the game, one of our games defaulted to a closed status network so we couldn't see each other, and so on. So there's a few niggly problems here, and I think this could be one of the few things that could affect the game, especially on day one, knowing that we're going to have a heck of a lot more players. Anyway, that's my only negative comment to this deal, is the impact of excessive player base and the realities of the additional support that's going to have to go in for that. Let's hope everything holds together on the 1st of April. Now, with all this in mind, what are you going to do? Has your purchasing decision changed here? Did you pre-order? Are you changing platforms? Are you going to cancel your pre-order? Are you in a position where you have Game Pass but will hold your pre-order to provide a more direct revenue to the developers? Are you reluctant to pre-order at all right now given the history of recent games? So many questions. I'm going to leave it there, Outriders. Let me know your answers to the above in the comments below. And as always, drop a like and subscribe if you like our content, and be sure to check us out on Twitter. We're doing polls and videos and weapon featurettes and all sorts of things at Looter Universe on Twitter. And of course, stop by our Discord server if you can. We've now got automated LFG voice rooms, and we've got an auto-create system now that when you join the voice room, automatically creates a room based on the name game of your choice. Anyway, Outriders, this is Ogaz for Looter Universe. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next out in Enoch.
I feel a storm.